So Notion just released probably one of the biggest updates for when it comes to task management that I've ever seen, and I'm so excited to tell you about it. Subtasks are finally here. Hey everyone, my name is Jenna Redfield, and I run this YouTube channel where I talk about Notion, ADHD, and digital marketing, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the coming months. But I wanted to talk today specifically about to-do lists, task management, and this brand new update to Notion. Now, a lot of people, when they switch to Notion, notice that it's not as intuitive when it comes to task management as other apps like, say, Todoist. So a lot of people actually stay using some of these other task management apps. But today I think that will change. I think that this update to Notion is going to drastically change how I personally use it for task management, as well as all of you, and we're going to be walking through that. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on goal setting and how I use Notion to set and track my goals. This is going to be kind of a part 2, so I highly recommend watching that video. It really goes into depth around some of my ideas and processes, but I kind of wanted to recap it here really quick. So if you didn't know, I use August Bradley's pillar method, which I absolutely love. I've actually kind of changed it and really customized it for myself, where I use it based off of colors, as well as I have 13 pillars, which is a little different than his. So basically how I live my entire life on Notion is around these 13 pillars, and everything that I do goes under those pillars. So for example, if I had a TV show I wanted to watch, that would be under the pillar entertainment, and that would basically be like almost like a project. I put all of these projects inside of my tag and knowledge vault database, and then with my tasks, I actually do them based off of the project. So with this new feature from Notion, having subtasks is going to completely revolutionize the way that I lay out my system, and I've actually already updated my template to align with this. So if you have bought my ADHD template, you can re-download the new version and see it in there. And if you haven't bought it yet, perfect, you can grab it in my Gumroad shop. But I wanted to mention that this is a big change, and I think it's going to be a little bit confusing from the get-go, because I was a little bit confused on how to set it up. There was no tutorials when I first saw this tweet that this had gone live. So it took me a couple of, I would say almost an hour to figure it out, just because I wasn't sure exactly what they were doing, how to change it. There was really, again, no tutorials. So I wanted to make it easier for you guys if you're stumbling into this and walk through how to set it up. But before I do, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about task management and to-do lists, because I think it's important to figure out, okay, well, how do I actually get things done? Especially if I have ADHD or if to-do lists just aren't my thing. I like to center everything around the goal, right? What is the goal? What is the final goal? Because really that's going to help you prioritize what's important. Prioritization is a struggle for a lot of us. So for me, I actually do have prioritization of high, medium, low when it comes to different things. But I think one of the things that's really important to think about is, what's the end goal? And so I have an outcome goal, right? I have the thing that I want to accomplish. I also have the process goals, or the steps that are in between. And I talk about this in my other video. But I wanted to talk specifically today about doing the subtasks, setting it up so that you have a major project and then all the tasks below it. Because sometimes, and Notion has realized this, sometimes you can't get to a step unless you've done a step before it. And they have made some big changes in timeline view. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I just wanted to kind of reference this other video, the goal setting video, because I think it's important to have a goal, have a project that you're working on, and figure out what steps are needed to take to actually do that. And before this new change to Notion, my to-do list was chaotic because there was no hierarchy. It was just a list of all the things I needed to do, and none of them were linked to each other. I could filter it, but it wasn't quite the same. I like this top-down approach where it has the larger project and then tasks within it. And I think this is going to be helpful for a lot of people, especially if your brain works the same way mine does. So let's just get into Notion, because I feel like I can kind of explain it more visually when I walk through how it's set up, and let's just get to it because there is so much to talk about. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and let's get to Notion. All right, I wanted to walk through specifically what it looks like now, and then I'll show you my before, right? Because I'm actually going to be updating the business template that I have, and so I'll be walking you through specifically how I do that. But this is inside of the ADHD Life Tracker template. You can see now over on the left, there are drop down. Look at this. Literally drop down. So those are called subtasks. Now within subtasks, you can have even more subtasks, and this is game changing. So as I've talked about before, I like to have everything be done in projects. So these are all of my bigger projects: get my mental health in order, educate myself, create content, get a better body, improve social life. These are all then affiliated specifically. So there's specifically tags and projects that are in my tag and knowledge vault, but they're also going back to the main 13 pillars. So I can hide this if I want to, but if I want to see it, it's right there. It's also related to the outcome goal. So the outcome goal is the final goal. So if I want to lose 20 pounds, that's my outcome goal. Get a better body is just the general project. And then these are the steps that you have to take. So to me, these are the process goals, right? So the process goals are the steps you have to take to actually get to the final goal of losing 20 pounds. So joining a new gym is a process goal. It's a goal to join the gym. However, you can have another goal within is, drive to the gym today and work out. That is a action item, right? That's a to-do list item. By hitting your process goals of joining the gym, right? That's actually going to lead you closer to your final outcome goal of losing 20 pounds, right? So before, when I had my to-do list, it was just a ton of things. And I did have them sorted by tags, pillars, outcome goals, etc. But it just wasn't, I couldn't organize it or see it anyway. And I'll show you specifically. So if I go over to the online business template, I have a to-do list on here as well. And you will see right here, this is before I have actually built it out. Literally, it's just a list of things, right? There's nothing here that makes sense. It's just email Henry. What does that have to do with anything? What project is that part of? That was just my mental action item, right? But if I put it as part of a client option, like for example, contact Gary is probably another client, I can put those as two different people I need to email within a larger project. So if I want to change this, this is how to do it. So you're going to go over here. You're going to be inside of you have to be specifically inside of this type of view, right? So this changes every time you change the view. I have to say that. You have to set this up every time, or you can set it up so that it automatically sets up this view. So when you create a new view of a table, I believe this only works in a couple of different views, including table view. So let's just say that we're in this table view, right? All tasks. You're going to go over here, and then where it says sub items, it might show something else. It says none. Now, I will say there are two different ways to set this up. One is when you're in timeline view and one when you're in task view, and it will change how it's set up. So you're going to go to sub items. You're going to click none. Now, you can rename these, right? So this is the option. So basically it's telling you we've got the parent item and the sub item. So you could change that if you want. If I wanted to call that, let's just call this, the parent item we could call project, right? And the sub item would be process goals, right? So let's click create. So now automatically over here, you'll see that these little tabs pop up. Now, we have not built the projects as actual inbox items yet, so that's what I'm going to do next. So for example, create new YouTube video and schedule tweets are part of content creation. So I'm just going to call this content creation. I'm going to add my little icon, and I have everything blue when it comes to content creation, so I'm going to make that blue. Then what I'm going to do is you're going to open this up, and then all you do is you drag and drop it. And then I just click that. So these two items, I already knew they were part of the content calendar. They're already in the pillar and everything. Now I can close this and they go away, which is so cool. So I can look at it, bird's eye view of all the things I need to do. I can open it up and be like, all right, I need to schedule tweets. So that is my process goal, right? And then my other process goal is to create a new YouTube video. So you can even decide like, all right, if you have even more steps within that is I need to write out the tweets. I need to brainstorm. I need to research, whatever it is. You have new sub items within that larger thing. Does this make sense? So basically I have a project kind of looking down. I love the top down view of looking at a project and then seeing all the steps within it. And you can also set things like status. So I can move this over. So for example, you could have done one thing. And let's just do this. Research Twitter ideas or something. I'm just making things up. Rate tweets. Okay, so this could be done, right? But this hasn't been done yet. So you can even have statuses within the individual items. Another really cool thing is you could set like the priority. So if I wanted this all to be high, 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 and you wanted to sort it this way, you will see that because content creation is high, this will go high. Does that make sense? So this will be the first one. So if I change this to low, it'll go down below. So scheduling tweets at a medium is higher than creating a new YouTube video. Another thing you can do is you can actually filter. So if I wanted to filter so that only the priority was high priority, it would actually get rid of those individual steps that are medium or low priority, which is so cool. It's so helpful. So I just wanted to mention that because I realized that as I was doing this. So what you're going to do is you're going to reset all of your to-do list items, especially if you're using my template or a template of your own. I would recommend creating almost like a project level, and then within that, all the steps that it takes beyond that. So for example, let's do like business projects, right? I'm going to open this up. I usually like yellow for business projects. All right, so now I'm going to open that up. And then I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to drag this down. And again, you can have projects within projects, which is so cool. So this is create a new project, email Henry. Let's just pretend all of these are part of the same thing. So what's cool about this is you can have levels and sub items, right? So now if I close that, I can actually, let's put this as I had a high. So that brings that up. If I close that, you'll see now I have, let's just move this down, medium. So you'll see now I have the two highest priority at top. I've got the content creation and I've got the business projects. So what I would recommend doing is for all of these, having a major project. And let's go back to the ADHD Life Tracker template. So I've set them up myself based off of my pillars, the things that I have to do in my life. So for example, create content, like I mentioned, schedule tweets, create a new YouTube video for better body, join a gym, stretch, attend a networking event. You'll see I have all these different things. And then you have, statuses, it's related to the tag, and then that sort of thing. So this is all set up for you. That is how you change it. That is how you set it up when it comes to the table view. Now, one thing that I want to mention is they also have an option for timeline view. So if I go over and add a new timeline view, right? So now there is something called dependencies. This is brand new as well. It has to do with sub-items, but it's a little different. Dependencies is where you can actually have one item blocking something else so that, for example, if you had to write a tweet, before you write a tweet, you have to research the tweet. So if that has to come first, you can set that up so you can't have the other one until the other one gets started, right? So let's go here and let me see how this works. So there's a couple of things in here. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so right now, it only allows you to see the top level items, right? So if it's improved social life, right? You're seeing all the items below here. Let me see. So you'll see here, we've got all the different sub items, right? So that's the only one that's in there. Let's actually do a different example. So if I were to pick the create content. Okay, so let's drop this down. So we've got schedule tweets, and then we've got create new YouTube video. Let's create another item actually inside of here. Let's do under this one. Let's do research tweets, right? And then let's do write tweets. I want to give you guys an example of how this works. So now I have this down. I've got research tweets and I've got write tweets. Now, in order for me to write the tweets, I have to research. So let's move this so it's behind here. Let's actually move this back. So these are just showing the dates, right? There's now an option to go like this, right? And it actually creates a new relation from this to this. And it actually does something called blocking. So click create new relation. So you can rename this if you want. Their original option is to do blocking and blocked by, which I do think is a little confusing. I get it, but it's also a little weird. So let's just click create. So now this dependency is there. So you can see that it is now there. I'm gonna let go. So now, before I'm able to write tweets, I have to research. Let's go back to tasks. Let's go back to create content. And you will see, if I show the property, there is now options here. We've got the parent item, sub item, the blocked by and blocking. If we want to view these, let's just view them on this. You will see that blocked by and blocking now relate to each other. So you'll see that writing tweets is blocked by research tweets, and research tweet is blocking write tweets, right? So this is really not super helpful in task view or in this view, whatever this is called. I always forget the name of the properties. Table view. It's not as helpful, but it's great in timeline view, especially if you're trying to figure out like, what do I have to do first? Then I have to do this, then I have to do this. So if you're trying to think of steps in a process, you could use timeline view to be like, all right, I need to do this first, move into this, move into this. It is a helpful way to view things. So I just wanted to mention that the blocked by and the blocking are specifically if you set up timeline view and you've set up that view. The subtasks and the parent tasks is if you set it up in the table view. So for me, I think this is going to be very, very helpful because I personally organize my life like, again, into pillars. So if I turn my pillars into like projects kind of in that way, right? This is kind of my goal outcomes. I can actually organize. And then I actually personally, I'll actually show you my personal one. So this is within my actual, let's see, this is my personal to-do list. So let me go and find it. Where is it? It's right here. Okay. So right now I have basically the exact same thing I mentioned for the examples, right? So for example, entertain yourself. That's one of my items. You can see I've actually set it up. So these are 2 shows I'm watching on Netflix. And so it reminds me within my to-do list to watch those shows. But because I've set up those shows within another template, which is my TV template, I've literally created this item to link over to it. So what I did was I just added a new site. Let me just say I want to finish, let me think of a show, The OC. I've already seen that show, but it was the first one I thought of. I can link that and you'll see it links over to it. So let me just click on Meghan and Harry because that's the show I've been watching on Netflix. If I click over to that, you'll see it's within my TV folder. So if you go to my TV, I have all the shows that I've watched, right? So within I was never able to add that to my to-do list very easily because it was just like a small thing and I just didn't feel like it was worth a task. But now that it's under a subtask, I'm like, perfect, this will be so much easier. I can track all of my books as well. So if I'm under educate myself, when I put finish books, you'll see I could actually add the subtag finish. I'm reading the book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which is right here. So now I have not only my task, but also a link to it. And so if you know me, you know that I take notes. So I actually have all of my notes from the book. So if I'm like, all right, well, what book am I reading right now? I can literally go into finish books and then I can finish the actual book, quickly have a shortcut to that page. And that's true with anything. If I wanted to have a project, so for example, promote my Notion templates, I have to redesign a Notion template images. I could link over to my Canva account and quickly find that, right? So and this looks like a lot, this might be overwhelming to you, but for me, it makes total sense. And it's, again, everything goes back to the goal outcomes. It goes to my pillars. It goes to the tags and knowledge vault. The way that I've set up my life makes so much more sense in a subtask mindset. If you've read the book Redeeming Your Time or Getting Things Done, those are both books that talk specifically about this sort of level of setup. And I think you should definitely read both of those books. And they talk about this a lot, especially Getting Things Done. I think that would be a good one. But anyways, I hope that this was helpful to walk through. I might do some more videos on this because it's so intense. And there are so many options, but I love it so far. And I'm so happy that Notion made this change. So anyways, I hope that you guys got something out of this video, and I'll talk to you next time.